Hey, it's Dustin, and today I want to talk about how you can write 1,000 words an hour, whether you're writing your own blogs or you're writing blogs or articles for clients. It's really important to be able to pump out a bunch of high quality content really fast because as a freelance writer, you basically get paid for the work that you deliver as opposed to the hours work. So the more efficient you are, the more you can get done in a day and the more you can get paid, or the more content you can produce for your own websites, stuff like that. So my first tip is not to waste too much time on research. I find that research is where most people waste most of their time when they're writing. They'll spend like an hour or two trying to look through everything on the web or pulling out books and stuff and looking at studies. If you're writing like a basic blog or article, I feel like you should be able to set yourself a timer for like 10 minutes max and do all of your research. So I would gather all of the information that you need, like Google, pick out all of your main resources that you want to use, and then take snippets of the main parts that you want to include in your stuff and paste that directly into a document. And then you have everything to go to refer to. That's another big time waster is if you have like 20 tabs open in your browser when you're trying to write and you're constantly like flipping back between them to find the specific information that you wanted to put in your blog. That's another huge waste of time. So the more you can do to kind of organize things and get it laid out up front, the better. So kind of, I would even like do your headings for the article and then put specific information from different websites beneath all of those headers. Obviously, you don't want to plagiarize anything. You're going to have to completely rewrite it in your own words, but that kind of gives you a place to start. Then you're not like flipping back and forth between stuff or constantly scrolling to the bottom of your document, looking through like 30 pages of notes trying to find what you need. So that's a big thing, is get your research done and get it laid out efficiently so it's easy to refer back to it. Another big thing to avoid is getting distracted. So there's apps where you can lock yourself out of like Facebook or Reddit and YouTube, websites like that. I find myself opening up browsers without even realizing what I'm doing. It's just like a subconscious reaction. If I start to get bored with my writing, I'll just open browsers and start looking at stuff. And then it's been like 5 minutes of scrolling through Reddit and I don't know what's happened. I realize that I'm not writing anymore. So avoid that. Maybe even turn off your internet or your Wi-Fi. Basically anything that you can do to remove distractions. Put your phone in airplane mode, so that you can't get text messages and stuff in that could distract you. I usually flip my phone upside down and put it in silent mode and airport mode when I'm working, if possible, if I'm not like expecting any important calls that day. So that's something that you can do. So basically, don't waste time on research, don't get distracted. My next point is, don't edit or proofread as you go. This wastes a huge amount of time. You just want to get all the writing out, just write, and then you can figure all of that stuff out later. You're not going to forget to like correct a specific word. So when you're writing, focus on writing, and then when you're editing and proofreading, focus on editing and proofreading. But don't try and do both at the same time because you get out of the writing flow and it just messes you up. So don't do that. One thing that I haven't personally done, but I've heard a lot of people have tremendous success with it, is using speech to text software. There's lots of free options available before you invest. So basically what this is, instead of typing, especially if you've had like carpal tunnel or something in the past, or you have repetitive strain injuries on your hands, you might want to consider this. Basically, you dictate what you want to say instead of typing it out. That's the whole thing. You can write really fast like this. Like Chris Fox has a book called 5,000 Words Per Hour. And as far as I know, I haven't read that book, but I think the main takeaway is that you dictate and you can write 5,000 words an hour by dictating to speech to text software. There are going to be some issues at first with voice recognition, but most of the softwares, especially the paid ones, I think Dragon is like one of the best premium ones, but you can try the free options first. But those premium ones, I think they actually adjust to your voice and they start to pick up specific ways that you say words, so it gets better over time. So you might want to try it for a few weeks just to see if it adjusts. You might have to kind of pronounce words more clearly than you normally do, but I would give that a try, see if it works for you. I've been meaning to try it, but I just can't bring myself to do it. It feels really weird and I don't want to go through that learning curve, but I can see how that would be a huge benefit. So I would try out speech to text if you want to write faster, especially if you feel like dictating something would be faster than writing for you. I'd go ahead with that, especially if you write slow. Like I can write like 100 words per minute. Is it WPM? Yeah, 100 words a minute. I probably don't do that consistently or my hands would start to hurt, but if you're more like a 50 words per minute person, you might find it easier to use text to speech instead. Another thing is to generate lists of topics before you're writing about them, especially if you have your own blog or something. So make a list of like 10, 20, 50 blog things, like titles that you could write about. So then you just have a spreadsheet with a list, check one off, and then you just pick it and you get started. Then it kind of takes the questioning out of when you start writing for the day, like what do I want to write about? You just have a list, pick one that sounds interesting for that day, and you just get started. Something else that can really speed up your writing is writing more conversationally or casually and informally, as opposed to more academic writing. You should be writing just like you'd be talking to someone, which is why speech to text works. You just want to have a conversation with your reader, basically. You don't have to make it super formal and write it like an essay. So try and keep your writing casual. I find that helps the words just kind of flow out, as opposed to if you're writing more like an academic style, it kind of stifles your writing and slows you down. And you could put headings for different sections on your writing before you start. I think I mentioned this earlier too, but basically, so if you've got a 1,000-word article, you can split it up into 5 200-word sections. So just put 5 headings, and then you only have to write 5 little 200-word posts instead of 1,000-word. It's just more helps you conceptualize it. I think people generally, if you see that you have 5 little tasks to do, it feels a lot less overwhelming than one big one. So that's something that you can kind of like mentally trick yourself into writing more, because it's like, oh, I'm not writing one huge thing, I'm writing 5 little things. So that usually really helps. And I find there's less chance of writer's block when you do that too, because you're just writing like 1, 2, or 3 paragraphs per section, as opposed to writing a huge document where you might be like, oh, I feel like I've covered everything, what can I write now? Normally, if you have 5 headings and each one asks a specific question, you can normally write at least a few paragraphs about each of those. So those are my tips for writing 1,000 words an hour. If that was helpful, go ahead and subscribe. I'm going to have more tips for writers in the future. If you have any specific questions about freelance writing or writing in general, feel free to ask those in the questions and I'll check those and respond to them. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video.